So NIO is one of the top 3 EV companies in China. Its cars are driven everywhere on the streets of Beijing and Shanghai. Now, 2 years after it was listed on NASDAQ in 2018, it was on the verge of bankruptcy. Now, at this point, the local government of Hefei, a small town in eastern China with 5 million people, convinced it to move its headquarters there. The local government injected $1 billion in exchange for a 25% stake, arranged more loans for the company, and most importantly, organized an entire supply chain around NIO. It took only a year before NIO's production grew by 81%. Its market cap went from $4 to $100 billion. And the local government of Hefei cashed out within a year, and NIO's life was saved. And so for every local government behind a NIO, there's another mayor behind a competitor. And there are literally hundreds of EV companies vying for survival in ruthless competition. So if you are actually a promising tech company, local governments will move mountains to help. Remove red tape, check. Find you more financing, check. Get a job for your spouse, check. Piece of cake. They are a one-stop shop, as they like to call themselves. Now, in the vigorous bid for Amazon's second headquarters, there were some creative offers. One state sent a giant cactus as a gift. Another state offered to rename a town Amazon. But it basically came to some tax breaks, not quite like what the Chinese mayors had to offer. But of course, the US government is no stranger to supporting big shot companies like SpaceX and Tesla, offering billions in benefits. But in China, it's really this marriage between hypercharged local officials and intrepid entrepreneurs of all ilk that is at the heart of its model. And here's why. So the local government of Hefei, the one that made a killing with NIO, well, it wasn't just after the return on investment, per se. But it was by luring companies like NIO that is looking to create a mini Silicon Valley of sorts, an industrial cluster, a talent pool, a flourishing retail and service industry. That gets them more jobs, more tax revenues. And guess what? Even the real estate and land they own are suddenly worth more, all because of the economics of agglomeration and multiplier effects. Because the local mayors are actually an equity stakeholder of the entire city. So, in sum, it's this political centralization and economic decentralization that is actually a simple representation of China's model. It's the same model used to urbanize, to grow, and now to innovate. Now, for all of its successes, there were huge costs, I admit. Waste left in the wake, inefficient investments, wrong bets. Now, some of these challenges are being addressed, thankfully, like environmental degradation, but there are others that remain in urgent need of fixing. So I'm not suggesting that there's some universal recipe, or that it's perfect, or that it can be easily replicated. But what we do know is that there's more than one way of making things work. And recognizing that there's some wisdom to China's approach doesn't mean endorsing all of it. But I guess there's something to learn from each other. And for one, China didn't sit on the tarmac waiting for a technological takeoff. Instead, it was the big push from the ground up. So I came to the US as an exchange student in 1997, and I was mesmerized. I saw enormous possibility between the East and the West as they competed, collaborated, and spurred each other forward. I still believe in this, even though frost has set in and there may be chill in the air for some time between the two largest economies in the world. Some may fear China's juggernaut innovation. Some may not like competition, which is rarely comfortable. But having someone in your rearview mirror helps you keep up the pace. Japan's technological rise in the 1980s pushed the US to overhaul its innovation system and regain the lead in the 1990s. The US subsequently did the same for Japan. As a result, we all have cheaper and better products. Today, Chinese EV company BYD is pushing Tesla to new heights, and vice versa. Tesla opted for a Chinese battery maker, which is pushing the German government to do more in that space. And it's that mutual learning and constant threat of being overtaken that pushes the technology frontier further and beyond. But one thing's for sure true, it just doesn't happen in geographical isolation. So I've come here, and I imagine the possibilities between the two countries. And I understand that there are national security concerns that countries will have to respect. But not everything is about national security. The $1 trillion or more at stake with the economic disengagement between the two largest countries can do so much as eradicate malaria, end world hunger, conserve biodiversity, and more. So let's not forget that there are more sacred things in life, such as a brighter future for our children and a cleaner earth. Let's not forget that in the developing world, there's still so much unnecessary misery, and that its people also have the right to enjoy the dignity in life as those who are more fortunate. And so for all of this to happen, it seems to me that what we ultimately need is the cheapest and best technologies, rather than worry about where they come from or who will dominate. Thank you.